of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside to a Wednesday episode of Running Point, which means Scotty Mincher in the house with a Warren Moon jersey on. A little bit of a throwback to the Houston Oilers days, but he still has your good old Cleveland Block C beanie on to keep it a little bit more in our time frame.
Yeah, well, I decided to go with the throwback with when it comes to football and the NFL because, like, living in the present as a Browns fan, and it's painful. But I wore the Guardians cap, the kind of,
It goes with the Oilers, the
we-
red. You know, you don't have
yeah.
an Oilers hat, obviously.
Yeah, I don't have an Oilers hat, but also Tito got Manager of the Year, so
He did.
you gotta
Earn that.
It was well done, great job by Tito this season. Now they just gotta figure out a way to win a World Series one of these years.
What went into the Warren Moon jersey? Well, why'd you want Warren Moon?
I've always liked the Oilers, like the color scheme. And I saw it's actually a show on Netflix, a limited series with Jonah Hill called Maniac.
Okay.
And in the show, he wears this exact jersey.
That exact one right there.
Houston
Like you got it
Oilers.
from the prop of the movie.
Yeah.
That
And
exact jersey.
I'm like, I got to have this jersey. I got to
So-
have it. So after that, I ordered one.
Hear that? Scotty Mincher will wear anything that Jonah Hill puts on his body.
Yeah, I guess. So I
Hey, you know,
mean,
he worked for the Indians in Moneyball before Brad Pitt came and got him off of the Indians.
yeah, that's
So-
right. And now he works for the Browns.
Now he-
I mean, the real life guy, Paul D. Podesta,
I know.
is in the Browns front office.
He moved from baseball to football.
Yeah. But yeah, I will say I am a Jonah Hill fan. So yeah.
So that's the origin of the Warren Moon jersey. That's great. Scotty, you always bring us great stuff to talk about. I was talking with you before the show about what kind of things were on your mind today. So what do you got? What did you bring for us?
Yeah, I was thinking a lot today. Of course, we got the playoffs. It's getting down to, this is like
This is it, right?
the best of the best, cream of the crop in high school football. But we also have basketball that's just on the horizon.
It's with Friday and Saturday night. We're gonna have basketball games alongside our playoff games on the network. So
it's exciting times, and I was thinking a lot about it on the way here. First, I guess I wanted to get into from you, Anthony. I want to know if there's like a storyline you're looking forward to the most when it comes to both the girls and boys. Give me one for the girls if you got it, maybe one for the boys too. And it could be, any team, players, but what are some things you're most looking forward to in the girls and boys game this upcoming season?
I'll tell you what, storyline. All right, for the girls, I'm excited for the MVC grade tier and how that's going to shape out, because you have 4 really good teams in one conference with that fought for a championship last year, and then you have a Crestview team in that conference that's also kind of young and talented and can compete. So you have Liberty, Garfield, Champion, Brookfield, Crestview, all teams that, like, right now I would be like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they won a district championship in their bracket, and they're all in the same conference. So to see them battle each other out and see who comes out on top, it's kind of like the SEC. They're all going to beat up on each other. So I don't think any of them are going to have a pristine record by the end of the season. But it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top of that MVAC.
Yeah, it's I guess you could say it's kind of like, even though you could make the argument, some teams have underachieved, but I think it's also a product of just the conference being so deep in the AFC, where there's there's just a lot of parity. I mean, right now, the Chiefs are the number 1 seed in the AFC.
You just know how to make me smile.
I know that brings a big smile.
You don't have to butter me up, Scotty. You're already on the show.
Big smile to you. But I guess my point is right now it's, I mean, anybody's conference. I mean, it could go a lot of different ways.
Let's go with the Chiefs way.
Well, we talked about it. If they win as far as their division goes, they win these next game. I mean, they're in the driver's seat, man.
They are, and the other teams kind of gave up their future to try to beat them this year. So might be some rough times for the AFC West in the next couple of years. But back to the local basketball scene in the MVAC grade tier, specifically in girls basketball. Each of those teams have bona fide superstars that are going to shine bright. It might be some of the best players that we see out of girls basketball in one conference. I mean, you have Bella Meyer from Champion. You have Shirky from Garfield. You have Watson and Foster, both from Liberty. And then Brookfield, you have Sophia Hook. Am I missing any of the? Oh, and then Lorraine Gaskins from Crestview. So you have superstars on 5 separate teams, and all of those players I just mentioned might just be candidates for Player of the Year at the end of the season.
Wow, yeah,
and they're all in the same conference.
That talks that just speaks to that. That's insane. There just speaks to how loaded that conference is. Do you, like, as an opposing player, like, do you think like that conference in the long run? Are you thinking like from if you're a player on one of the other teams and you
mean like one of the ones that's not those 5, like one of the other MVAC teams? Is that what you're talking?
No, one from those 5.
Okay.
But if the conference is gonna be loaded, as it looks like you said, the conference, they're gonna beat up on each other really good. But do you think it's more like, because obviously you lose games, there's a less chance you get in the postseason for tournament time?
Well, everyone gets in the postseason, but for basketball.
Yeah. But I'm saying, do you think losing like those games early and having, even if you get in the postseason, but you have like a losing record, do you think eventually, because they play such a tough schedule and you're going against the best competition, it's not really gonna like diminish any of their confidence at all.
No, I mean you look at the last year, 2 MVAC teams went to regionals with Liberty and Garfield both winning their districts. And then you had Brookfield make a pretty good tournament run, beating Ursuline out of the tournament. And then you had Champion, they lost to Garfield in the tournament. So those teams, unfortunately, they're all in the same division, which brings up Chris Ziegler's point that Poland moves down to Division 3-2 in girls basketball. So that's going to make that bracket just a whirlwind of really good teams. When you talk about Division 3, you're going to have Poland in there, you're going to have all the teams I mentioned in the MVAC, and then you're also going to have South Range in Division 3 and Mooney in Division 3. So it's going to be a wild ride in that district bracket when it comes out at the end of the season.
Do you think it comes down more with like these teams looking to be like they all have, so much firepower, like the talent is definitely there. So do you think it's more important with these teams to play great? Do you think it's more vital defensively for them to be at the top of their game and play great defense, or do you think it's something like not turning the ball over as much?
It's both. I mean, we learned last year that the team that went furthest in basketball last year were Salem, and they played the best defense of anybody in the area. So defense will get you far. Eventually, you're going to have to score, though. You have to have players that can go score. But obviously, you can't turn the ball over either. That's a big no-no if you want to make a deep tournament run.
But you think it's more of a combination of playing that elite level defense and not turning it over than more so one or the other.
Right.
Like being that's interesting. I'm gonna be keeping a close eye on this conference and all the great players you just mentioned as well, and look forward to doing a game with you as well. I
told you we're going to take you down to Lowville and do one from your alma mater.
Yeah, that would be outstanding. That would be great, and I do want to get to Lowville, but before I do, if I can flip it to the boys' side, I thoroughly game the game. I love last season. I enjoyed Camel so much, watching Camel on the boys, but what are your expectations? What do you see for them? What do you like? What do you maybe a little bit concerned about? And what do you think about them having to replace such a great scorer in Kevin Moore?
Well, you look at Camel, and they lost a lot. All those guys came back for their senior year to try to make a run at state for Camel, and they made a great run all season. But now it's like all those guys are gone. Who's going to step up and be the next guy? And I think they actually had a couple of people transfer out of Camel too. So Camel's going to have a very new look. But one of the things that made them good is that they had a good coach at the helm too with Coach Canarino. So he's going to get those guys ready. They're going to look different. They're going to be able to do different things. They're not going to be the same team they were last year, but they're going to be disciplined, well coached, and that should make them really formidable.
Do you think it's kind of as far as replacing Kevin Moore? I mean,
you don't replace Kevin Moore.
You're not gonna replace
right.
him, but
good luck.
I mean, do you think it's more like by committee, like
yes,
everybody's got to chip in, or do you see someone like maybe that nobody's expecting? Can you see someone maybe breaking out?
Well, really, I mean, you got to be by committee to be successful. Even last year, Kevin Moore was amazing, but they had other players that could go and score too. I mean, it wasn't just defenses. Okay, we're going to triple team Kevin Moore, and no one else on the floor can score if we shut him down. So Camel knows, like, they have to have a balanced offense if they want to make a run in the tournament. You can't have one guy scoring 25 points and the rest of your roster scoring 5. It just doesn't work in regionals, especially.
Yeah, it's kind of like I've really these last couple years, and I mentioned Camel was, I think they were by far in boys basketball my favorite team to watch last
Not
year.
Louisville.
But
Oh, man.
I mean,
The former Rocket, not picking the Rockets, who actually beat Camel in Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.
They did. They beat them.
Oh,
that
man.
was I think it was the 50 to 47.
Give me your Rockets alumni card right now.
The 50 to 40. I mean,
Just messing with you, Scott.
man,
He's getting so worked up. I'm just messing.
Yeah, I guess open
you can
mouth.
You can like both the teams. You can like both those teams. That's okay. They're on opposite sides of the conference. They're good.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You're
opposite
fine.
sides of the conference.
Hey, I do Poland home games and South Range home games for basketball, so I'm no different than you. I can like both teams.
But yeah, I guess in basketball, a lot you see, and I know
you fell in love with the high flying octane offense. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay. It sells tickets.
It does, but like you said, Camel was more than just Kevin.
They were way more than just Kevin Moore. I mean,
he was.
They had a star-studded team. It felt like all 5 players could score at any moment. They knew how to score, and Kevin Moore just added that extra, like, okay, you're a superstar type of player. So it'll be interesting to see what they do without him, and how Camel looks in a new kind of new look offense, new look defense. And then since we brought up Louisville a little bit as I was jesting with you, Louisville's boys team, can they repeat what they did last year and continue the success that they had on the football field? Because you're going to see a lot of football players on that basketball court.
Yeah. So what do you talked about their huge win just a second ago last season over Camel in Cleveland.
I think that was Camel's lowest point total all season.
They were under 50, right?
Either under 50 or low 50s. I can't remember the exact score.
I think I could be wrong.
It might have been like 49.
I think it was 50 to 47.
Okay.
I'll trust the final. You. So yeah, I'm almost positive it was 50 to 47.
Take that, Ty. You're not the only one that has good memory.
But yeah, every once in a while, even though we're not blind, we're handicapped, but every once in a while, still a blind squirrel it finds a nut.
Right.
So I do. Sometimes my memory is great. It's just not always on Ty's level though.
Well, Ty's a robot. It's not fair.
In Ty, it's he just wanted to duck me. He wanted to get rid of the trivia.
We all know. You were starting to make a run
because I started stumping him, and
he's like, "Well,
I can't be exposed."
He pulled the Tyreek Hill deuces and said, "See ya."
Yeah, he said, "See you later." But is there an element like? I guess I'll say this. Last week I was talking to DJ, or I think it was 2 weeks ago, before Louisville bowed out in the football playoffs, and I said, give me one word that you would use to best describe this Louisville team. He said that they were fun. So on the basketball court, on the hardwood, what do you think's going to be the most endearing team about Louisville?
Oh, they're a different mentality in basketball than they were in football, because in football you knew them as the high flying offense that loved to kind of spread you out, run up the score. But they have those big bodies in Louisville and Anthony Lucente, and but obviously they like to be so physical in basketball. They're going to push you around in the paint and dominate that paint. Louisville is going to be a team. If you play Louisville, you're going to be sore the next day in basketball. and it's supposed to be a low contact sport, but they don't understand that. So Louisville, especially if they get referees that let some stuff go and let you be a little bit more physical inside, they're a really tough team to beat because they do pound you so much.
And that's like, I know
Have you seen Anthony Lucente in person?
I haven't seen him in person, no, but
Kid's like a Paul Bunyan lumberjack.
wow.
Like he came to a volleyball game that I was calling at Louisville, and I looked up and I was like, it was football season. I was like, God love whoever has to tackle that kid in football.
Yeah,
because he's just a monster.
yeah. I mean, I have my power chair, but it's like, man,
He would pick that up and tip it.
yeah. He'd probably just. I'd be
He
like
could probably put you on his shoulders and carry you wheelchair and all.
I'd be like a rag doll. Just throw me around like a rag doll. But
Louisville is a very physical team, which is what's been defining them for the last couple of years.
And that's my favorite kind of, like, I know you're not an NBA fan, Anthony, but like the earliest I can remember, and this goes back mid to late 90s, Jordan's last few prime years with the Chicago Bulls, I just felt like the NBA was, teams played so much more of a physical style then.
They did because they obviously, as time goes on, the NBA realizes, hey, if our superstars play longer, we get to make more money. So let's lessen the probability that they get injured. Same thing in the NFL, and that's why you see quarterbacks not be able to get touched. And in the MLB, there's really not a way to kind of lessen injuries, but anything that these leagues can do to make sure that their best players are playing for longer, they're going to do.
And with fantasy sports,
right
now too, they want it. They want, things.
Like, you're not going to make money in fantasy football if that's Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Justin Herbert all get hurt in week 2.
Yeah, but I guess my point is with Louisville and just those trees they got in their front court, like, it just kind of like, I know, again, it's a different level, but I see this version of the Cavaliers as kind of like a throwback NBA team because they play with the big men and physicality, and it's not as much about threes.
Scotty's already moved on to the Cavs. He's done with the Browns. He said, "Screw it."
Well, I'm never done with the Browns. Let's just say
he did that Homer Simpson gift where he backs off into the bushes with his brown gear, and then he comes back out in Cavs gear.
Yeah, let's just say I'm on a little hiatus, little vacate from the. Hey, they're supposed to get like, I don't know, like 2 feet of snow in Buffalo. Maybe the Browns will be in the game. I mean,
hold on to hope,
Scotty.
Scotty.
They'll probably lose by 50, but a guy can dream.
It's hard to blow out teams in the snow. So,
but
back to your point about Louisville, though.
Yeah, I was saying, like, and just like with the Cavaliers, like, you play them, even if you win, it's you're gonna have to beat them. You're rarely gonna blow a team like that out. You're gonna have to really earn it with them. That's how I feel with this Louisville Rocket team.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's gonna be many nights where they beat themselves. Like,
no,
if you beat them, you're really gonna. And it sounds cliche, but I just think with their physicality and the way they could play that bully ball, that, I mean, you're gonna have to earn everything against them.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that kind of sometimes got them into trouble last year when they did struggle is obviously they hit one of those referee crews that likes to call a little bit of everything, and they get into foul trouble a little bit. So that's the only thing they have to watch out for. I think foul trouble, and then obviously finding a consistent way to score and finding consistent offense every night would be the two things that I would say Lowville, would probably want to grow on from last year to this year. And Coach Olson's a great coach. He's going to look at the film from last year and decide what the best course of action is to kind of go on to this basketball season.
Any thoughts? Because we talked about Campbell and Lowville. I know you want to play some interviews the second half of the show. But last thing on going to the girls' side with the Rockets and also the Red Devils, is there anything that kind of sticks out that you're watching out for with those programs on the girls' side this season?
You look at the Rockets. Last year, they went into Badger and beat them out of the tournament. Big upset. One of the biggest upsets we saw in tournament basketball last year. So they're kind of getting a confident group. They're bringing a lot of people back. They're bringing back their point guard, Savannah Prochik. They're bringing back Frankie Lilio, who can shoot, who's a really good sharpshooter from the outside. They have good players. I think what's going to be the difference for Lowville is can they be confident in their own abilities and go out there and shoot when they need to shoot, no matter if they're hitting or not. Because, Scotty, as you know, what's the basketball cliche? Shooters shoot, right?
Yeah.
Shooters shoot. Hey, so they can't shy away from shots because they missed 3 or 4 to start the game. Sometimes Lowville got into that frame set. If they didn't get a fast start last year, then their confidence would go into the toilet. They wouldn't really shoot like they can.
Help me out here, Anthony. Is the origin? Is it from The Office? Maybe is it Michael Scott said you miss 100% of the shots you don't take?
Well, that's a Michael Jordan quote.
Oh, it's Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. Okay, I knew.
I think.
Okay, yeah.
Sounds like something Michael Jordan would say.
Yeah. But that's when it comes to basketball, that's one of my favorites.
All right, Scotty, I got a story for you before we get it, because I haven't told this story yet on Running Point because I was saving it for you because I thought you'd get a kick out of it. So, as you know, as everyone, I'm a Georgia Tech fan, right? So that's
big time, Georgia. Big time.
So all season, we don't get to watch the football games in their entirety. We're in the audible call. We're kind of flipping between games. So we don't get to hear all the great tidbits that the announcers get in, all their prep work and the stories are able to tell, because we have to watch and see, are they close to the 50? Are they driving? If not, they kind of go, we go flip into the game. So I've been able to watch Urson in their entirety this year, been able to flip in on them, check in on them, everything like that. So I've been able to watch Anthony Romo, and I'm sure he said this before Friday. But all season I'm hearing Christian Lynch, we're covering Christian Lynch, and I'm like, well, there's a kid that played for Georgia Tech named Clinton Lynch, and that's kind of close. But then I'm thinking, come on, that Lynch is such a common name. There's no way they're related, right? Because Atlanta, Youngstown, and I knew Clinton Lynch wasn't the hometown Youngstown. So I'm sitting here there's no way they're related, right? And then I'm watching the broadcast on Friday with Romo, and he goes, well, Christian Lynch has a great family lineage. His dad played for Illinois, and his brother played for Georgia Tech. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
They are. It's true.
So I texted Romo immediately. I was like, OMG, are you serious? This is I kind of fanboyed for the rest of the game. I was like, oh my God, because he wasn't just a Georgia Tech player. He rocked at Georgia Tech. He was the only player in program history to have 1,000 rushing yards and 1,000 receiving yards in his career.
Wow.
And he did that in the triple option offense. So they don't pass a lot. So he still managed 1,000 receiving yards in his 4 years at Tech. So I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's tough to do. You could see the rushing with the triple option.
A lot of rushers got 1,000 yards.
Yeah, but to get 1,000 receiving, man, that says something.
Clinton Lynch, man. One of my favorites, number 22 for Tech.
Just real quick, Anthony, since you brought it up, I just had a quick question. Do you still like the fact that that's their offense that they run, or do you think it's
Well, they've been out of it for a while.
for
Um,
how many?
Paul Johnson retired from Georgia Tech after Clinton Lynch's senior year, actually, 2018.
2000.
So 2019 was the first year we came out with the more pro style offense, and it hasn't worked out too well yet. We're still trying to fix it. It's still bad.
Would you be opposed to them going back to the?
Now it'd be hard, because the one thing, you recruit so differently, right?
Yeah.
So what made transitioning really hard was you come in the first year, in the first really 2 or 3 years, that roster had so many running backs. We never got a tight end, which is something you need for a pro style offense. You don't need it for a triple option. So we had no tight ends on the roster, and we hadn't recruited a tight end in 10 years. So the coach that came in transferred in a tight end just to put someone in there. And then you have offensive linemen that are just different. You need smaller, quicker offensive linemen for a triple option. But for a pro style offense, when you're dropping back and passing 30 times, you need a little bit bigger.
Yeah, you need the beef.
Right, because your triple option offense, you want those linemen that can move and kind of cut block and jump on the ground. You don't really want that for a pro style offense. You want your bigger boys. Yeah, so it took a while to transition.
Yeah, and you just think it'd be kind of a cluster.
I think Georgia Tech fans, and me included, because it's hard, need to be a little bit patient. It takes time to go from triple option to recruiting a really good pro style offense. We're still trying.
And didn't they have a couple good wins early in the year though? But they
beat Pittsburgh. They beat Pittsburgh, who was ranked, at the time. I forget what they were ranked, but they were ranked, and then the week after that they beat Duke, who was 4-1. So they had 2 wins in a row, and that was right after they fired their coach. So they fired their coach. The interim coach came in and won 2 games against 2 quality teams. But then it was okay, that wore off, and you kind of realized there were a lot deeper issues than just the coach. And who knows what'll happen next year, if they'll just wash out the staff and bring up a whole new staff or what. I don't know.
Who's the best? I know you were talking about Calvin Johnson earlier. How you're devastated because
when I was a teenager, one of the first Georgia Tech jerseys I got was the Calvin Johnson. It was a navy blue one, and you learn the hard way that it's not good to dry jerseys back in the day when they weren't stitched on like that one. The numbers are all ruined, and I was like, oh man, that's a Calvin. Now I can't find one.
Other than Calvin Johnson, and it doesn't necessarily have to be your favorite, or I should say not your favorite, but the best player, but more so your favorite. Who's been your favorite Georgia Tech player in any sport to watch?
Any sport?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought we were just going football.
I mean, if you want to go football.
Okay, well, I remember because when I became a fan, they had Calvin Johnson, and it was pretty it was his junior year, so I got to watch him steadily for about 2 seasons. And then he left early for the draft after his junior year. But then we got Demaryius Thomas, right? We called him Bebe. He wore number 8 for Tech. He went on to play for the Denver Broncos, which hurt. It hurt. But he was awesome watching. He did it all in the triple option. So he was recruited for the triple option offense and still managed to do what he did and get to the NFL as a triple option receiver, which was impressive. But then, my in 2014, our quarterback's name was Justin Thomas, and he was just the best triple option quarterback we had in the time that we had triple option, which was 10 years. Won the Orange Bowl in 2014 over Mississippi State and Dak Prescott, and that's my favorite football player from Tech outside of Calvin Johnson, probably Justin Thomas. I think he had a brief career in the NFL, not as a quarterback. I actually think the Steelers picked him up and put him as a wide receiver for a little bit.
Well, then Demetrius, Demarius, unfortunately,
he passed away last year.
Yeah,
he had a seizure condition apparently.
Yeah, that's and he was a great player too.
Now we give the leader of our team earns the right to wear number 8 every year, so we kind of honor him that way by giving a football player number 8.
Yeah, and I've always liked I don't know. I guess maybe because like one of my earliest sports like guys I would see on TV was Albert Bell, and he wore 8. So I've always
there you go, 8.
I always liked the.
Did you know Demarius Thomas wore 8 in college?
I did not know he wore in college.
And then he was 88 in the pros, so obviously he kept the 8s. Back then you couldn't wear single digits as a receiver.
Yeah,
they've changed that now.
DJ got me I have a customized Browns 88 jersey because it's one of my favorite numbers.
Double 8s.
I'm gonna go
Tony G.
Michael Irvin, the big 8-8.
Tony G.
Yeah.
Chiefs fans are still upset that he left and wants to retire as a Falcon, by the way. They're still bitter about it.
Wow, really?
He wanted to be inducted as a Hall of Famer as a Falcon, not as a Chief. That was a kind of slap in the face.
Well,
but we'll regress because we have a commercial break to go to. And when we get back, we're going to play one interview and then see where we stand with that. So we'll be back with, we're going to play Coach Rich Marshall, the head coach of the Hubbard Eagles girls basketball team. He takes over in his first year at the helm at Hubbard. We'll hear what he had to say in his pre-recorded interview after this break on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Holy
On air, online, Wednesday afternoon weather update, very dangerous, and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Scotty, I almost gave you your own camera view right there. Your whole face was on the screen.
Oh,
FaceTime.
man.
Told you earned it.
I guess I have, and it'd be a good day because I got cleaned up a little bit today, shaved.
So you did not take Park and No shave November. I don't either. I'm going to shave pretty soon. This is starting to get too long for me.
I get like I never used to.
Can't do it.
Never used to get itchy, but now I do. Like it gets itchy too.
It's like every time you move, it's like you can feel it. It's like, ooh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
So I think I actually got a pretty good beard, but it's time. And then if you let it go too long, like shaving, it's a nightmare at that point.
Isn't it weird how like some, and I'm sure you've had this with like players you covered in high school, like on on the boys' side, it's like, man, this dude doesn't look like he looks
No,
like a 25
he's
year
got a
old.
mountaineer beard, and it's like, oh my gosh. When I was I didn't have a lick of facial hair in high school. What are we doing?
Yeah, you were baby faced. I've seen those pictures.
Yo, whoa. Scotty's been looking through my Facebook, diving into 2011.
Creeping on.
So,
because you got so many. You got like a posse, pretty much. You got so many friends. A lot of equity.
I got a lot of
as
cachet.
As far as friends, you got a lot of connections. If I ever get in serious trouble, I'm giving you a call.
I don't know if I have like connections in the police department, Scott.
Well,
maybe a couple.
I think you
don't get into trouble, okay?
Okay, I won't get into trouble.
They'll be roaming those streets. We have a pre-recorded interview with Rich Marshall, the new head coach of the Hubbard girls basketball team. Let's hear what he had to say with Ty Bartell earlier this week on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Welcome in, everybody. Ty Bartell in with another edition of Coach's Corner. This time we head into the NE8 conference with head coach Rich Marshall of the Hubbard girls basketball team. Coach, how we doing today?
Doing fine, Tyler. How you been?
Not doing too bad myself. I mean, Coach, you get to take over an interesting situation with this girls team that was very competitive in conference play a year ago, and it's a tough conference again coming into this year. What have you seen so far in practices, and what have you liked so far in what you've seen?
I've liked the attitudes. I've liked the work ethic. I've seen very good leadership. We have 4 returning seniors this year that have been in the program their entire high school career, and they provided very good leadership both on and off the court.
You look at the team, we'll get a chance to meet that team real quick. What are some of those returners that we're going to be looking at this year for the Hubbard girls basketball community? And maybe some new faces that we have to get to know the names of.
Sure. In the senior class, we have 4 returning letter winners. We have Mary Frangos, who's our point guard, a leader on and off the court. We have Eleni Grillis. We have Sophie Murphy, who many people are familiar with. I believe she was our first team all conference last year. And we also have Livia Reese. So those are the 4 seniors. As I said, they provided very good leadership during the the summer skills sessions, during the summer league we participated in, and in the preseason practice as well. Just excellent examples for the younger players in the program in terms of what we're looking for in a student athlete for Hubbard girls basketball. In the junior class, we have 2 returning players. We have Rihanna Barr, and we also have Phoebe Rusnak, and they've done an excellent job as well in terms of coming in and really working hard, listening and learning. And then younger players, we're pretty young. We have 18 girls in the program right now, Tyler. We have 4 seniors, 2 juniors. So that's literally 1/3 of the program is upper class. In addition to that, we then have 7 sophomores and 5 freshmen. And a few of them are literal beginners. It's the first time they've played basketball or they've not played for a couple of years. So going down into the sophomore class, we have 3 young ladies that we think can contribute this year. One of them is Sage Lukac, a good player, very quick with the basketball. Another one is Jillian Palumbo, she's a hustler. I mean, she's like the Tasmanian devil out there all over the floor, diving for loose balls. Really believe she's going to contribute. And another young lady who's come along leaps and bounds from the summer skills sessions through preseason practice, and that's Mia Foster, who we think can give us a little bit of depth in the post. And then in the freshman class, we have 2 girls who we think will contribute. Kamaya Howell is in the program. She's a freshman. She did very well in the summer league, and she's participated and really well in terms of being competitive with the varsity players. And the other young lady in the freshman class is Aubrey Harris. So when you look at the 18, we have 10, possibly 11, we think right now, that we might be able to not just play, considerable minutes on the varsity level, but also just kind of play JV and play some spot minutes to give us some backups on the varsity level.
Looking at all those pieces that you have too, and just taking into account what you've seen in practice, what do you believe early on, way too early on in the season, but what do you believe these early on strengths are going to be of this team that you're going to need to kind of lean on for success this year?
Tyler, that's an easy one. We're going to have to lean on our defense. Our offense is coming along. One of the concerns I had in watching some of the video from last year's team was Offense is inconsistent. We're going to make shots. We're going to miss shots depending on the game, but the defense has to be there every game. So we've really put a major emphasis on the defensive end of the floor. And, I want to mention along those lines, we're blessed in terms of we have really good, just the foundation for the program is solid. I mean, they were building a program last year, a lot of success last year on the court, but foundation wise, as far as continuing to build upon last year's success from the administration on down, from the school board to the school administration, to the athletic director, Kevin Hogue, his vision for the program and support. We have an outstanding booster club, the Rebounders Club. And then my coaching staff, I'm really pleased with. On the varsity level, Tyler, Pat Manzo has a daughter who plays in the 7th grade program here at Hubbard. His son plays in the 9th grade program. Pat's got a solid basketball background. But what I like about Pat is he not only knows the game, Tyler, but he's got the ability to teach the game. So oftentimes in our practices, he's at one end of the court, with some of the student athletes, and I'm at the other. So Pat's a real asset to the program, brings a lot of knowledge, and he's very defensive oriented. So that's a plus. And then on the junior high level, our 8th grade coach, Josh Durbin, actually has a daughter in 8th grade. So that's a nice blessing for him. And on the 7th grade, we have a young man who's now a teacher at Hubbard as well by the name of Mike Mayetta. And Mike's coming in to help out with the 7th grade program. He's got a solid background as well in high school basketball. So right across the board, I think we've got it covered in terms of instruction, in terms of support from the administration, from the boosters, and that's going to be a plus. But kind of a long-winded answer back to your question, we're gonna go with our defense being the foundation of the program on the court, and then we'll try to complement that. And obviously, good defense can create some pretty good offense, but defense is our number one priority.
I know I love that you shout out your staff there, Coach. I know the head coaches get all the spotlight, but I know you guys can't do it without all those assistants and staff. But I'm kind of curious about you yourself, Coach. I mean, the opportunity arose where you could take this position for Hubbard High School. What drew you to the Hubbard Eagles? What drew you to this program, and what made you find a home with Hubbard girls basketball as their head coach?
The potential. Actually, I live in Pennsylvania. And a good friend of mine had formerly coached at Sharon High School at Commodore Perry. He's now an assistant at Hickory. And he mentioned to me back in May, we were just talking in general about maybe getting back into coaching, et cetera. And he asked if I knew about the Hubbard position, which I did not. And he said it was open. So I placed a phone call over to the administration building, to the Board of Education. They immediately put me in touch with Kevin Hogue. And right off the bat, from the first 5 minutes, Kevin and I spoke. And fortunately, Kevin felt the same way. It just what Kevin was looking for. Obviously I fit what he was looking for, but from my end, just the potential of the program. And again, I kind of went through it in terms of there's everything in Hubbard right now to be successful. When you look at the facilities, 3 gyms, not just 2, but 3. The middle school gym is nicer than some of the high school gyms in Pennsylvania, aside from limited seating. So everything is there that, I've been very fortunate. I've been a head coach for 22 years, 11 on the college, 11 on the high school level. This is easily the best high school position I've ever had in terms of the resources available to you. And again, it begins with the administration. What is the school board looking for? What is the administration looking for? And most important, Kevin. Kevin and I speak or see each other in person almost on a daily basis. And he's highly motivated, extremely well organized. And not just for the girls basketball program, but for all the programs. You go online, I've never seen the athletics Facebook page where Kevin does almost daily updates for all the athletic teams, pictures, you name it. It's almost as though it's a high school program being run like a small college program. But in talking to Kevin, what he shared in terms of his vision, his goals for the program, where they have been, where they are now, where they're looking to go to, it just met what I was looking for in terms of getting back into high school coaching.
Familiarizing yourself with this conference schedule and the non-conference bit of the schedule too. You guys have a tough slate in front of you this year, but it's definitely one I think will prepare you for an upcoming tournament. What do you see as the challenges that you guys are going to face during the upcoming season? What are you guys going to need to do right to come out on top of some of these contests?
I think we just have to get better every day. It's a gradual process. Again, we're very young. 2/3 of the roster, freshmen or sophomores. We're going to lean on the experience of our senior class. Those 4, as I said, I can't speak more highly of each of the 4, individually and collectively. Our main goal right now is to keep them healthy. I mean, we don't have a lot of experience depth, so we're really concerned game to game. Are we going to be healthy? Aside from that, again, we're going to lean on our defense. Defense is the foundation. If we continue to improve, game to game, I think we'll be competitive. Offensively, we need to limit our turnovers, take care of the basketball, make sure that the possession equals a shot. We'll make our fair share of the shots as long as the possession does equal a shot. Conversely, on the defensive end, we really want to focus on containing the basketball, and making sure that we're not giving up any easy shots, especially in transition, which is usually off a turnover, and then rebound the basketball. I think that's always been a key for all of my teams, in that if they're going to get a shot, they being the opponents, limit it to one shot, one and done. They make it great. We inbound the ball. If not, let's get it and go the other end.
Obviously, talent is one part of the battle too, and you kind of adjust your game plan to the talent that you see. But you being a coach for 22 years, you have plenty of experience around the sport. What are the intangibles and those things that you're looking for in the practices that determine if a player is getting playing time, starting time? What are those other things that you look for as a coach and your coaching staff?
Attitude, work ethic, reliability, that we know if we put them on the floor, that they understand the system, both offensively and defensively, that they're basically a team player. And again, the girls at Hubbard are very high character. I mean, they're willing to listen, they're willing to learn. Obviously, there's been changes. Anytime a new coach comes into a program, there's going to be some changes. We took some of the girls initially, I believe, out of their comfort zone. There was an adjustment. What we tell them, Tyler, they're not always going to like what Pat Manzo or what I tell them, but we're going to tell them what they need to hear, not necessarily what they want to hear. And with a couple of them, I honestly believe, whether it was during the course of the summer in the summer league, or those that were with us during September, early October, that were not involved with soccer, volleyball, another fall sport, they kind of took a step backwards with a few of them, and then to take multiple steps forwards, because they had to learn that things are going to change. There are going to be things you do the same. There are going to be some changes philosophically in terms of how we handle the program. But as I said, collectively and individually, they've all gotten on board. But getting back to your question, just a solid work ethic. We go with what we call the Elm Tree philosophy in terms of practice. And the ELM stands for effort, learning, and mistakes. And we explain to them, all we're looking for every day, Tyler, is a good effort, be it in a game, in a scrimmage, in a practice. If they come, have a great attitude, give us a good work ethic, they're going to learn a lot. They're going to make mistakes. And Pat and I are going to be correcting those mistakes to teach them, to make them better basketball players. And some of them were a little resistant at first in terms of the correction. It's natural. They're teenagers. They want to get out there, run up and down the floor, play basketball. But we feel if we can correct them and teach them a different style, some different methods of executing fundamentals, etc., they're going to be more successful in the long run, both individually and collectively. As I said, they've now all kind of bought into the program. But we're looking for the effort. We're looking for, obviously, talent. But as they've come to practice every day, and I think today's practice either 16 or 17 as we record this, everybody in the program, I can tell you, has improved from the first day of practice to this practice this afternoon. I mean, that's what we're looking for. But just a good work ethic, just a good attitude. Come with a good attitude, work hard, listen, be attentive, and we're going to be successful.
I love the style and I love the attitude that you bring to this, coach. And I mean, and all the advice that you give and being a role model to these students. I'm kind of curious on the flip side, what's some of the best advice you received going into your coaching career? What kind of helped you establish your coaching voice, and who are some role models for you along the way?
Well, I'm going to be showing my age here, okay? Because some of the names I like ask the girls, we give the girls a daily emphasis every day in practice. We give them a quote. And when I'm dropping a name similar to John Wooden or Mike Krzyzewski, they're too young. But my assistant coach, Pat Manzo, he can relate. But early on in my career, my mentor was a coach by the name of Rick Majerus. My undergrad was at Marquette University. Rick was an assistant at the time. Others might know him. He went on to be a head coach at Utah, took him to the Final Four, head coach at St. Louis, head coach at Ball State. He was very influential in my career, as was another gentleman by the name of Gerald Oliver, who was an assistant at Marquette, and they went on to coach professionally. He was an assistant coach with the Cavaliers, a number of professional teams. They were very helpful to me in terms of my early career, getting me involved with some of the college coaching positions I had. And during my career, I had the opportunity, a Hall of Fame coach by the name of Lou Carnesecca, if you recognize that name, the former St. John's coach. And I had an opportunity one time to sit down one-on-one with Lou Carnesecca and have lunch. And he basically told me when I was 23 years old, at the time I was the grad assistant at Arizona State University, and Coach Carnesecca just told me, he said, Rich, he said, just remember, wherever you're coaching, at whatever level, that's the best position in the world. Just take care of those take care of your players, understand that you make the most of that year and good things will follow. And I've really believed that as my career has progressed, I've been very fortunate to literally coach at every level. And that advice from Luke Carnesecca, just in terms of understanding that, hey, where you are now, treat it like it's the best position in the world and good things are going to happen. Just take care of the people. And like I say, that's why right now Pat and I are focused on the 18 young ladies in our Hubbard girls basketball program.
To kind of just take it one step further too, Coach, for all athletes and athletes in basketball in particular, because you've coached at all the levels, what's a bit of advice you would give to those athletes aspiring to get to that next level, to get to the college ranks, get their scholarships, and be able to play at the next level?
Hit the books. Make sure you're solid academically. Go for the honor roll in high school, or when you get to college, go for the dean's list. Basically, number one, make sure that if you're talented enough to play college basketball at whatever level, that you're academically qualified for admittance into that college or university. But aside from that, focus on the game. I believe it's not so much the quantity of time you put in as it is the quality of the time you put in, not just for basketball, but for any sport. I know at Hubbard, a significant number of the girls and boys, they're playing not just one sport, but multiple sports. There's, a handful that play year round, fall, winter, spring sports. So, and that's fine. I think they complement each other. It gives them a more balanced athletic career. For those that want to focus on a specific sport, listen to the coach, obviously listen to your parents, but if you can get some additional instruction outside of the high school program, et cetera, go for it. As far as basketball is concerned, there's a number of quality AAU programs right here in the Northeast Ohio, Northwest Pennsylvania area. Get involved with one of those. If you're a different sport, I know we've got a young lady in our program, Phoebe Rusnick, one of the juniors, and she's a very talented softball player, and her goal is to play college softball. So number one for Phoebe, she's an excellent student. Hit the books, make sure you're academically qualified, but she's out, she'll miss, one or two things that might be related to basketball because she's out doing a softball clinic or softball showcase, I guess is what they would term it. And that's okay. But, like I say, most important, make sure you hit the books, you're academically qualified to get into the college or university of your choice. And then just have a good attitude, good work ethic, and good things are going to happen.
I think you're going to be a great person in charge to lead and be the skipper over there at Hubbard Girls Basketball, Coach. Before we let you go, though, I want to give you that shameless self-promotion time that I give to a lot of our coaches, and just give the community a reason why they need to get out here and support this girls basketball team this season.
Well, the girls have a lot of enthusiasm. They take pride in wearing the Hubbard Eagle basketball jerseys, and we appreciate the support. I don't believe, from what I've been told and been able to learn over the past 5-6 months, that there's any concerns related to the Hubbard community, be it from within the school to the community itself, coming out and supporting not just Hubbard girls basketball, boys basketball, but all the sports. Hubbard is a very athletic oriented,
absolutely
well aware. So I have no concerns with that, but I can say as a head coach, for those that do come out and watch girls basketball this year, we're going to give a solid effort on. You're going to see a lot of effort, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of hustle, and hopefully we'll get some W's along the way as well.
We're definitely excited and wishing you the best of luck along the way, Coach. I can't wait to see what you can do with this program and so much more. You could catch some of the 2022-2023 regular season girls basketball games from the Hubbard Eagles on ysnlive.com this season, absolutely free, thanks in part to our wonderful sponsors. This has been a first edition of Coach's Corner with head coach of the Hubbard girls basketball team, Rich Marshall.
Coach Marshall from Hubbard, we thank him for his time, and he was able to have a great conversation with Ty Bartell, and that's a college coach coming down to coach the Lady Eagles with college experience, and that brings a lot to the table.
It does. He has a pretty impressive.
He had some name drops, man.
Like Rick
Majerus
from
Marquette, Utah.
Yeah, he has a lot of great. He's been around a lot of great basketball minds. That's for sure.
Yep. And when he said hit the book, Scotty was over here punching his textbook trying to learn. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Why can't I learn chemistry? I'm hitting it every night.
Yeah.
It won't.
Like, I don't know. I guess
that's such a bad joke.
I'm
sorry.
I guess I maxed out my learning abilities when I was about a sophomore. I tried with the chemistry, but
Balancing
had my
equations.
struggles.
Balancing equations, not my forte, not
No,
my strength.
not at all. But his experience, I think it'll do wonders especially with all the young players that Hubbard has going into this season.
If they're going to have a lot to be excited about in Hubbard, we're excited to cover them, and that's just another season preview on Running Point today. We'll have more tomorrow, and then on Friday, of course, we'll have the playoff preview with Ty Bartell as he comes back on Friday. But thank you so much for coming on and listening to us for an hour on this beautiful cold Wednesday. Scotty, thank you for coming on like you do every week, bringing some great conversation to the forefront.
Yes, thank you. It's always a fun time, and I love these playoffs getting down to the fun part here, but I can't wait for basketball either.
Don't have to wait long. Friday it starts. We'll have basketball and football on the network on Friday and Saturday. So you won't have to wait too long, Scotty. It is here.
Yeah, I'm pumped, man. Let's go. Can't wait to do a game together.
Scotty's pumped. We're pumped. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch. This was Running Point, brought to you by